Hello and welcome back to the show. My name's Relevant. This is Do All the Things. I have got my 6950 XT installed with a water block. Now I have to get it in the system. So let's do that. If you've been following the comedy, you might be familiar with Monolith, my main rig. And previously it ran a pair of Vega 64s, and now it's getting a 6950 XT, or it already got one, but with the passive air cooler. Now, I put it with a water block. But before we tear into that, I need to make a few adjustments. Some subtle changes that I want to make. Well, change number one is we have these Flipdy, Dipdy, like these things. They were, some quick card mount devices, but you see here, that's screwed in, that's in the way. I want to get rid of those things. They were only good for keeping these things into place. In order to do that, there's a little metal lever that pops out and it goes up. This rad's in the way. I need to dismount this rad so that I can do that. Shouldn't be too hard. I need to change up some RGB. I'll explain that later. And I'm also thinking of getting rid of these things. They're bits of hard tube that go from the rad to here. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe they're okay. Maybe I can leave them. But either way, let's get started. I'm gonna start by pulling out my recording drive. Don't wanna risk damaging that. I'm gonna have to dig up more of these. I know I have a full set for this. Might be due for a cleaning too, actually. Wonder how much of this is gonna come down without disconnection. Because I have RGB and 2 fan cables coming here. Now, let's pop her. It doesn't look that bad on this side. It doesn't look bad in general. I guess I'm pretty good at not accumulating a lot of dust. I use these Gamer Storm fans here. They are cheap and good, and they came with like white lighting, and I removed the LEDs from one, and then I replaced the LEDs in the other with 5mm RGB LEDs, and I had to make a custom wiring harness to go all around. That is actually IDE hard drive cable. Just took a few strands off, soldered it to each LED, put the LEDs in place. And then there's some resistors in line. They're hidden in back. I got parts falling off of it here. Where'd that come off of? The top corner, where you can just barely see some of my handiwork. All right, with this haphazardly hanging here, now I can pull this lever up. Pull, come on, all the way up. And now all these stupid plastic clips should come out. Done with these clips. Might as well store the lever back in here. All right, let's see if we can get this guy back into place. Come on now, get in there. Oh boy, why is this such a pain in the ass? That is a Hardware Labs GTS, Stealth GTS 120. That's the first water cooling rad I ever got from my first open loop. It went into a Lian Li V1000 case. So RGB, I have to get at the top of my drives. So I gotta pull all this out. Or do I? I know I gotta pull the card reader, because the RGB that lights up the reservoir is tucked into the top of the card reader here. Oh yeah, it's kind of just sitting right here. Pull it out, disconnect it back here. Yeah, this guy here. Okay, you see what we have here is this is the RGB emitter that was in my Strix card on the air cooler. When I installed the water block onto my Strix card, I did similar modifications. This might be the original RGB cable that was on the water block, and then I put it on this thing, and then I took the little tiny cable that was on this thing that was short, and that went right onto the video card, and I soldered that onto the light strip that's on the water block. So the problem here is, because this is part of the Strix card, I want to put one of my cards back to air cooled. Obviously they're sitting there, they're useless. Water cooled unless I have a water cooled system to put them in. I know I have the air cooler from a Sapphire reference, but I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. It's like disappeared. So I need this back, and possibly even with this cable, so I can put that all back to stock. But that means I need to replace the RGB emitter that goes in there. To do that, we cut some custom RGB. So here's a kit that I have. This was once a spool of self-adhesive 12 volt RGB. About 2 of these, actually one of them should do, but 2 of them will span better. The procedure is you choose how much you need and cut it to length. Just like that. Then here's bulk RGB ribbon cable. It's not pretty, but it makes it easy. And if you hide it strategically in there, you don't see it, so. And the colors just line up. Black goes on the 12 volt position, which I believe is 12 volt plus, so it's ironic that it's black. And then, green, red, it's labeled. I need to maybe weigh it down a bit, grab our soldering supplies. I'm just gonna tin these landing pads here. They're like copper, so they tin right up nice. Try not to let them connect together. There seems to be enough separation that it doesn't happen. Now we just have to get our wire going here. See if I can strip all of them at once. But just going, meh, nope, meh, almost. Keep nipping at it. Nope, gotta do it old school. Now we have 4 exposed wires. Now it's gonna be extremely difficult to twist them up nice, so just kind of shape them. Got them oriented well enough. They need to splay a bit. Problem is we need to hold on to this thing. We gotta tin those wire ends up now. Now let's see if we can't get them interfaced here. They should just melt together. And there you go. We have a piece of RGB strip at the end of a cable. Now, assuming we need a similar length of cable, I'm just gonna do one of these where I compare on it, snip her down. I'm running low on this stuff. Would you believe this is like a 3-meter spool I bought? And bulk on eBay, I got RGB sockets like this. This is even more a surgical procedure. We gotta get one of these goofy things out. This thing's so worn out, man. As you can see, this is not for the casual computer modder. You gotta take and carefully wrap these wires around these pins, one by one. Now, if you're really careful and not completely improvisational about this, like I'm being right now, you can kind of make it so that there's pin left to daisy chain into another jack, but I didn't quite get those tolerances going on here. So it's pretty straightforward standard. Now we're just gonna bend that straight like that. We then acquire some appropriately sized heat shrink. You can get like the little ends, but I didn't bother. Just kind of torch it on there. Got a little bit, oh, frick, it's still hot. Got a little bit of overlap. We'll just, come on, stop being hot. We got a little bit of overlap. We'll just trim on it. Geez, this was a sharp knife. And boom, for the most part, you have yourself an RGB. I'll just test on it real quick. And you gotta line it up and boom. The red element is blown out on this particular test controller. I had another one around, but I can't find it. Pretty safe to say it's working. So I guess we set this aside. We start getting wet now, buds. Drain bucket, plugs, our drop tray. So as we take wet stuff out, drop it into the tray, drain bucket, rotate out our pump, which wasn't normally in that position. Expensive specialty tool right here. Take that plug out. Open. Serious inquiries only. We gotta pull out the frickin' reservoir, bud. That's always fun. Oh yes, the super involved process where I also gotta take this top piece off my case. Good thing we don't have to do that this often. And now we release the reservoir, and there she pours. How much can we get out of this thing? Gurgle, gurgle. Okay, so this guy here is the one that traditionally comes down to the video card. It's also the one that doesn't drain on us. So now is when stuff gets tricky. Because now we gotta start dismantling parts of the loop. Like up here, which will definitely drip and spill once I release it. Oh. Sure. Now the hack is, if I keep drain plugs around. So that's the thing, we gotta figure out ways to plug the system up as we go along. Like we'll take this fitting off of there and we'll just stick it back on the hard tube. That should be good for now. So you can kind of close this valve, grab on this. You gotta get it around this pipe. So this tube here has to go to the video card. So my loop is as follows. Reservoir, pump, to first rad, I call it the intercooler. Temperature sensor is right there. Out to the oh, frick off. Unpredictable. Out to the video card, from the video card up to the top rad, from the top rad to the CPU, from the CPU to the back rad, back to the reservoir again. Now the funny part is, since the video card goes between here and here, we pretty much have all we need drained out to tack this in now. It's just a case of fitting that pupper and see what we can get it to do. All right, so this guy generally goes in there. Oh, hoses are gonna clear now, bud. We got it into the slot. Oh, she's seated nice. And we need the support bracket. That's pretty much gonna go in right overlapped, and it's convenient because it works well with this, it seems. Except we gotta get one of these blank spaces up into here. Gotta get it to stay at the place. I stick a magnet on the back side. All right, we gotta dig up a bunch of screws. Frickin' saggy, bud, frickin' saggy. So nice to have this thing, bud. Just gotta get the leverage. Pretty much all 3 screws for the back plane are gonna support this. So we'll give it just a little bit of push up and secure this down. Okay, that's pretty good right there. Might as well get the blank plate secure while we're at it. Now I'm curious about something while I got this all open like this. What are the chances I did want to run dual video card? Because the Vega 64 offers, what does it offer? I don't know, it's pretty good at rendering. Oh yeah, once I installed this video card, I had problem running Hitman Contracts, very old game. It was running at such a high frame rate, about 1200 frames per second, the game went out of sync with the controls. Some positions moved, some positions didn't. I went into the Radeon software to adjust, put a frame rate limiter on. It didn't work. It turned out I had to update my drivers. I had to roll it back one. I was running the latest experimental drivers, beta drivers, and then I got the game running again once I could put a frame rate limiter on it. Maybe a slower card is advantageous on older games. Now this guy is traditionally a tall boy, so we would have trouble, like if I, we would have to get creative with the fittings again, kind of like what we did for the last cards. What about the Sapphire reference card? Yeah, it's seated much deeper. It's like from here to here. Ugh, boy, it would not be easy. We would have to get all sorts of creative to make that match up. Well, I'm not gonna bother. I was just curious to see them next to each other. I do wanna try throw out a Vega 64 in here to see what I could get it to do. If I plug one display into one card, the other into the other, and then, split the preview. I don't know. I just wanna screw around with it. But hey, I could do that once it's air cooled. All right, so I guess we could plug our power back in. Which ones do I want to use? I got so many of them here. Would two coming from the bottom look nicer than these two coming from the top? Maybe this ugly one I get rid of? I don't know why I don't have more like this. Oh, that's right, because this was a used power supply and didn't come with all the cables that I needed. Right. In the meantime, I'm gonna pull out this superfluous cable. I'd need another 2 8-pins. So this is gonna be the game for now, just like this. Okay, so one of these is an in, one of these is an out. I believe this one's in and this one's out. This pipe is going to be too short. Now hopefully this doesn't leak anymore out this rad and we can pull it off. Because now we gotta start sizing up pipes to see what's gonna go where. I think this is one of the original pipes here. It looks like it came off the radiator. It looks like it will reach, almost. We've got a rotary that goes in the bottom here. As much as I don't like rotaries, at least I can see it. Yeah, it's just a hair too short. Go figure, bud. I don't even think it's the right size for the return pipe. All right, go pop it into our pump archive. Some of these have a slight green staining to them, which yes, I know is suspicious. That looks about the right size for the return. Actually could be a touch shorter. Sucks because I don't like the direction some of these are going in. Gotta fight all this pipe geometry. If I did change out this hard tube, I could have a pipe smoothly come down like this and into there, and it would have very little tension. You get busy here, but it goes straight in. It would be more ergonomic, like this one even. How's this look right here? Yeah, I know, looks like Garbo. I won't lie, I'm not trying to make this pretty. Kind of over that when you got so much stuff crammed into one system. Okay, this thing I think was probably one of the original feed pipes for when I did originally run a single card. It looks like it'll come here, tuck back in here. Looks like this bracket's gonna get in the way a little bit. That sucks. We could extend it with one of these couplings if we do delete the hard tube coming off the radiator. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's a little strange, but I'm gonna do it. And in order to do that, I'm gonna have to pull my hot swap bay. Fortunately for me, most of the hot swap bay just easily unplugs from the rear here. I tell you, man, I can't live without this thing. Triple side hot swap. I'll use all 3 of them. We have an opportunity here. Oh, I forgot I have this just slightest RGB right here, whose purpose is to just cast light into this opening. Let's put some drip protection here, and we can jam this in here. Then we can undo the well, actually, I'm gonna loosen up the compression fitting first, then put that in here, then ratchet the pipe out. Fart. Now I gotta cut the little snip here, and it's out. And nothing spilled out of there. Okay. What happens if I tilt on it a little bit? Oh yeah, there's a little bit there. Where's this other drip coming from? Something fell down here. What the frick? Oh, this radiator's open. It dripped nowhere though. All right, so, oh, come on, there's still more. Kind of have to wait till it's done peeing. In the meantime, I'm gonna put a tube on here and plug this guy. That's on this bottom. This guy's open, so when I tilted it, it spilled out. I gotta do one of these. One drip at a time. Oh, now it really came. Just give it a minute to simmer. Okay, hopefully I can take this out now. I have to like, no, it's still dripping. You're a bastard. It's a little crap disturber. Just when you think it's done dripping, a little bit more. It's a little bit more, bud. Just a little bit more. I hear it dripping. Come on, you get it done. It's almost like I got to back bend it here. Oh yeah, get water to that end of the rad. I think that did it. Drip, famous last words. I think the only way we're gonna get this for sure is if I go and rotate off that angle and let it spill directly down. See, I got a fixed angle on there, not a rotary fitting. I also don't have the correct size Allen key to remove these from the inside. Okay, well, the knurled bit here, gently grab. I'm gonna have all these spare hard tube fittings after. That is gonna get replaced with one of these black phobias, just like that. I like these fittings, but they're expert only, because as you can see, they don't have the recess for the O-ring. So you have to tension them on just right and not anymore. Also, they really grip, man. It is insane how tight they get. Gotta kind of push on them. So the other thing, working with them is really tricky. There we go. So where's the long arse? Is it this? Is this the ridiculous pipe that I wanted to put in there? Yes, I think it is. We really got to get that to stop dripping though, bud. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open this valve. I'm gonna blow some pressure in here. Remember kids, never blow in your tubes. Not during a retool like this. You're just gonna contaminate your loop. Like if you're taking it apart to completely clean and redo it, that's one thing. Oh yeah, now it's flowing, bud. Now, while I'm blowing here, I wanna close the valve. 3 hands. Let's clock the res, still dripping. Let's give it some agitation. Nothing that way. Oh, a bunch that way. Oh wow, is it ever coming out now? Okay, you clear now, bud? Let's see if we can rotate this guy back into place. Come on now. Yeah, because it's not a rotary fitting. Should I replace it with a rotary fitting? I was trying to avoid them. Let's see if we can get this ridiculous long hose on here now. Sucks you can't see the details of what I'm doing here. Ah, yeah, those fittings, they pop on real nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna come right down and into there. It's gonna look nice, actually. Not too shabby. So, this fitting's gonna go right there. We'll snug that up. I think it might have actually bottomed out in there, but that's gonna go right on there with no tension. Oh, look at that. Yes, again, we got nasty, crazy crisscross patterns all over the place. I might strap this up to here to prevent rotation. Question is, do we want to delete this guy too, also? Looks like we can get that hose out. Well, let's try. That was part of the plan. But it's like, it's there already and it's not going anywhere, right? It's all situated, it's all nice and in there. To do what? To put this one in? You know what? No, I'm gonna leave this one here. No point. I'm gonna try a different routing of this. How about it comes over? No, I don't know about that. Okay, well, let's look into installing this here now. So that comes off. We drop it on the floor, very important. I'm gonna use this plain black, in which magically I have 2 of them now. Why does this have such a huge O-ring? I feel like this huge O-ring one needs to be the one that goes into here because I feel like this fitting bottomed out. Like the fitting's so long, I think it went too far into the water block. That is an ugly O-ring. That instills more confidence though. I like that. So we got to look into plugging these holes too now. We got the plugs that came with it. They are a strange looking plug. They have rubber on the end. And I guess they just kind of snoot up in there and we use their tool to snug it up. Shouldn't have to go too tight. I guess they went for that flush look, eh? So part of the plan was remember, drop things on the floor. Linus got to where he was today for a reason. Wait, how the frick is that supposed to work? That's the wrong kind of conversion. I'm like, oh, I can use this, but then we need like a little doubler upper. A doubler upper. Actually, this almost seems like it can go straight on. I guess we can find out. Well, I get this thing on before I forget. You know, it'd be nice if they both had the same kind of looking O-rings. All right, so how's this fit now? That's actually pretty good. Like, it might be a pain in the arse to get another video card in there after. That's a good point. Let's put the pump about where it's gonna sit. It sits right there. You know what? Almost anything I do is gonna make it difficult to get another video card in. Because like if we put it here, it's gonna be so tightly sandwiched. It's like about the only thing we can do is if we come around this side, that's gonna touch the fan. Have we considered other pipe lengths? Okay, what do we have here? Stick that on there, bring it in here. It's gonna fall short. Need to get a rotary on there to mock this up. When dealing with rotary fittings, you got to, you know, put very even pressure on them. When they can leak is when they get like jacked too far in one direction for too long. Everything comes down to this crossbar being in the way. Unless, what if like the other guy, we come in from the top? Oh boy, it would tuck underneath the rams. It's mostly smooth. It'll press down on the edge of the card here a bit, but the card's so well supported, I don't think I'm too worried about that. Used to be, I liked the idea of hiding the hoses underneath, but now it's a liability. Except we're running out of excursion again here. Darn it. A lot of figuring when you do this kind of thing. You know what's funny? It might go like this. It totally would too. Oh boy, that's just too easy. Little kink risk here though. I think this is my least favorite, least ergonomic configuration yet. Like, it's gonna work, it's just not that nice looking. And at least it keeps this clear for, you know, whatever accessory cards we want to jam in there. Next time I need to do a Duke Nukem Forever 2001 kind of playthrough, I can jam a quick cheap NVIDIA card in there so it works. And it's flow optimized, like adding extra crap here. Like, I do have a coupler that I can put on there. Let's just see how it looks. I did acquire in this same order an EK coupler. It was for another project, but you know, necessity is the mother of using the thing. Look at that absolute unit now. Like a freaking hydrant. Snug those all up. Ha, dem some silly ergos. And how's it? It's pushing the rotary just a little bit too far in the one direction. Unless we kind of, you know, oh, we're wiggling on our ram. It's like up against our ram stick. I don't know, what do you think? Does that look better? You know what I need to do? I need to get a bigger rad here, and then it won't have to leverage against the card here. I was thinking, like, this is a 200 mil here. I think, is it XSPC or Alpha Cool? Makes a 200 mil make a big chunky rad that would go here. Good luck getting fans that would fit it. It just looks so derpentine, this freaking tower here. See how it looks with one of the other plans. Still, like maybe a little less derpy because at least this tube's hidden and the tube's ergos are better like this. But again, we ain't getting any extra cards in there after. If we go like this, we should still be able to fit another card. It like kind of looks better. We have a kink factor here. Oh, I'm having another idea here. I think there's no rule that says the pump has to go on this side. Aside from this fitting being so damn tight. Ugh. And the pump ergonomics not necessarily liking it. Our pump sits funny now. Actually, our pump sits farther back into the case like this. Over here. That might not be so bad. Just have to fix on these power supply cables. Ideally, I'd want to move my temperature sensor too, but it should still give relatively accurate reading there. Like, it's not really a big deal. Okay, so let's see what we have for pipes that would direct shot that. A little trim. I think this might be ultimately the way to go. It'll put the least amount of stress on the rotary. It pretty much goes straight in there. A lot cleaner looking. Yeah, I think that might be our winner right here. Just like that. Cut it right after before the O. Of course, I have the specialty tool. And we've also committed to having that temperature sensor there because it's not gonna move now. Okay, we gotta take this off in order to get the flexibility we need. We gotta just kinda get this going here. You know, now that this is a fresh fitting, ooh, I'm having a nasty idea. I don't think I might be cut too short for it already. You know, having these mismatched fittings always disturbed me a little bit. I kind of said to myself, when I do a major change to this pump, I want to put the matched fittings back on there. These fittings are really fun to set though. Got to kind of form them. You want to know something funny? The first time I did a loop, I used this kind of hose, Thicky McThickerson. Can you imagine how much time and effort it took me to get this hose onto these fittings? I tell you, man, that first build was off the hook. Again, I don't recommend these fittings. They are expert only, just because of how much it takes to work on them. All right. It's great though, like once they are formed to the pipe, they come on and off so easy and they absolutely do not leak. Oh, you're not just a touch too short, are you, bud? No, you're putting sub stress, but it's just like, if it was any shorter, it wouldn't be good. I don't know, man. Damn it. All that effort and I'm not 100% happy with it. Half of it has to do with the fact that this tube kind of wants to bend in a certain way. Like once it's had time to settle in, it might not be a problem. I should check something before I officiate this. Should make sure a second card is good as clear. Oh yeah, yeah, we'll be good. I think one of the ultimate solutions is to stick with the fitting that I planned on putting on there in the first place. It still kind of pulls it up, but not as much. Yeah, that's ultimately better. All right, if only I can get the pipe on right. It's the other problem. I got it aimed downwards. A lot of messing about, buds. A lot of messing about. All right, now I got it so it's relatively straight. Okay, that's pretty good right there. No specific amount of stress in any direction. Cut, print. I think anything more than this would be just jerk it off, you know? Now it's a case of pumping some water into this thing and seeing what it's gonna do. Now before we do that, let's double check. Made everything tight. Yep, check for missing parts. Make sure you didn't forget anything. Like almost, we gotta put a plug here, bud. Check, check, check. Out the pump, in here. Check, out, in, check. Out, in, check. Everything is as it should be. Should I, while I'm in here, change this tube? Should I, while I'm in here, change on this tube? It's all in the sake of uniformity, right? Now I'm over it, as I said. We'll consider that next time, maybe one day when I have to pull the water block, change the CPU. Then I'll think about changing that tube. All right, so we're gonna bust out that foot switch PWM control box. Did I post the video for this yet? We will connect, can you even see pump power on here? Now I gotta find the pump PWM, plug that into the PWM control output. Now I just need to get some serious power to this box. D5 pump said to use up to 3 amps. Whatever, I got a chonky 4 amp here. I'll just make sure this is not turned on, give it power. Drop our switch box, plug that in. All right, ready for water. All right, let's bust out my special recipe of herbs and spices and start injecting this reservoir. So far, so dry. All right, let's try this PWM here. Gonna press the button and nothing. That's flipping sweet. Oh no, the pump's trying to go. It just doesn't have enough PWM. There we go. Just turned it up a bit. Okay, fine tuning. Now the pump doesn't race away the second we turn it on anymore. This is nice. We can control our fill on one hand and our pump on one foot. We're gonna have to top off the reservoir. Maybe when I empty this bottle, I'll tell you how I make up a new one. Oh yeah, not much more left. Oh, we're bleeding out a bunch here. Air, that is. And since the pump's not running away, I can top it off as I go. Which means I'm gonna hit the manual switch, keep the pump running, and let it slowly circulate. Let's see how slow we could go with this PWM. All the way down to dead slow. Oh, it's like we can maybe see it's moving a little bit. Bring it up more. Oh, careful, not too much. We don't want those bubbles to jet down and get sucked in right away. So we'll keep it a nice slow march here. We'll give that a minute to simmer. Meanwhile, checking for leaks. So far, so good. I'm a little bit worried about my tube that's on the non-rotary fitting. I think I'm gonna strap the little retainer back into place for it. Just zap that on there real quick. Little anti-rotation thing. All right, that pipe's not going anywhere. Still flowing nicely. Gonna bring up PWM. It's gonna flush it out a bit. See, because that's what happens. Like with an analog pump, plain DC motor pump, I can just blip the foot switch, bleh, 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 and that'll shake out the bubbles. You can't do that with this one, because when you press the switch, it's got like a 3-phase motor that's MCU controlled, and what ends up happening is it ramps up, you know? So, and it's also, there's a delay. You hit the button, there's like a second delay, and then it starts to ramp up. So having the PWM control is advantageous because we can kind of, you know, spin it up a bit, turn it down, spin it up, turn it down, and that helps us agitate out our bubbles. I'm gonna top that level back up. I just fiddle with the speed until I get this where I want it to. Our level went back down again. Like, I swear this machine takes like 2 liters of water. Just up and down till we get all the loose bubbles out while keeping it well topped off so those bubbles can't hit the output. Oh, this is great. This is so much nicer than the old way. It's nice, the change in positioning of the pump isn't really affecting my noise floor here. It hasn't gotten loud or anything. I can turn that pump up decently high without a lot of noise. And well, of course, it helps that I floated on a bed of foam instead of hard mounting it. I never hard mount my pumps. Oh, the pump's running full tilt right now. Give a little shake. Okay, so that level that high, I think it's time to cap off the reservoir and start shaking her about. Do a little water cooling. Hokey pokey. Okay, where do we start here, bud? Where do we start here? Let's, oh, just moving it like that. I'm gonna turn the pump down so we don't catch hell when we unleash a big beast of bubbles. Big beast of bubbles. Okay, I'll take it. Do one of these. Oh, yeah, some out of the card. Got its guts hanging out here, bud. I'm gonna bring up the level a bit. Oh, yeah. You can't see it easily there, but A little tilt here, a little boost of the pump. What happens if we gently bring it back down? So it's like you think about my ultra complicated setup here. Bleeding the loop is not a straightforward process. How about a little bit of this? Oh yeah, that moved air. The reservoir is still relatively topped out. Oh, we got a blast coming. See, just wanna watch where the reservoir output is. Fortunately, it's pretty central. I kind of planned for this. We can do one of these now, which should release, I don't know, air from the GTS. Oh yeah, there it goes. And back this way again, which is nerve-wracking considering how heavy this thing is. There's little bubbles hanging out in the card itself. Oofda. Oh man, I got the input and output on the card wrong. You little, I gotta drain it and switch the pipes. And with how long it took to pick that one tube, it's no good anymore because it's gonna be too short. We're gonna be here a while. It's a good thing I'm ahead on my editing. I might not have time to work on it tonight. Like, frick. Bud, you know, I know what I'm doing, but I always make the dumbest mistakes when I do make a mistake. Like the dumbest, harmless, most preventable, you just cost yourself a bunch of time mistakes. Like the water block design, it has a little snooty jet that blows in the center. So like if the water isn't going in the right direction, it's not gonna be effectively cooling the way it's supposed to be. 2.5 hours into this. Fun times. Just when we thought we were done, we're not. All right, so the story is this is supposed to go there because that's the out pipe. This is supposed to go there because that's the in pipe. And of course, none of these are the pipes that, you know, drained easy for us. This thing mostly did. We do have a certain ace though, or if I carefully undo this plug, I can maybe drain from here. Yeah. We got this hose secure, pull it, plug back in. Fortunately, this guy, being a bottom feeder, should just be able to like, you know, maybe do one of these. Oh, a little bit of drippy here. Okay, I'm gonna move this plug, put it down here, drain you frick. Remove this fitting, put it here. Should be good to reattach this pipe. Pull this fitting. Maybe one of these days, this rad will finish draining. Remove this frickin' pipe all together. Watch, this pipe was probably the correct length before we cut it. Now, let's spend another 20 minutes trying to find the right length of pipe to make this joint. After we move this plug to the top here. Soap up the excess. All right, what do we have? Nope. Oh look, this one might fit in, no arguments. It already has the correct, yeah, it's already on there. Oh, well, what do you know? We had the friggin' right size pipe all along. It's like perfect. Okay, I guess we'll call that crisis averted. Loop sealed back up now. Let's do that whole bubbly process all over again, which fortunately isn't as irritating as it could be because of my pump controller. Hey, does this work on all plugs? Oh yeah, look at that. All this time I was using a 25-cent specialty tool and I could have been using a free specialty tool. Well, not really. I had to spend a lot of money on a water block to get it. All right. We have just enough coolant to finish this project. I think my next project, I will have to mix up another batch of coolant because it looks like I'm using up the majority of it in this project. It's a good thing I have a special recipe for cheap coolant because like, oh geez, if I was using like Premier EK coolant or something, that'd be $20 down the drain right there. Like I guess you could reuse it, but typically when I know a build's gonna be sitting for like a long time, like I'm unlikely to have to modify on this anytime soon. I'll make sure I put in fresh stuff. Hello, my name is Simon, and I really like to go back to the drawing board. I'm repeating myself. I've already done all. I'm just gonna go through the motions again. Block up the reservoir, start doing the hokey pokey, shaky dick, bit. I'll let you know when I'm all done. Okay. There's still a lot of latent bubbles in that card, but there's only so much you can do. You run into a circumstance where it just has to sit a while before it's all gonna come loose. It'll do one final top up of this res, knowing that the level will go down a bit. Gonna leave a little bit of room for expansion. Heat causes stuff to expand. You know, you don't want your res like completely filled up. All right, I'm gonna get that res zapped back into place. If I can figure out what screws are for what. All right, so the RGB, the new RGB, that needs to strap roughly on the top of my card reader right about there like that, without shorting out right there, which is possible. I'll take the piece of scrap tape that I had, holding on the old RGB, and stick it right on this edge here. This stuff is self-adhesive, in theory. It needs to go right here, just like that. How long will it stay? I don't know. They like to come loose, and then we have to put it back on. Now we gotta get this through the little hole up here and start feeding this into place. The bezel on this is so thin, there's room for it to shine up into this acrylic, especially if I seat this back just a touch. All right, so somewhere in here is the header. Oh yeah, here it is. And this Hokie tape is not aging well. Oh, I like using tape, but it just does not cooperate. So I'm gonna use more of it. Gonna need to goo gun my fingers later. Oh God, this tape is garbo. So this is our little shine down for the hard drive over here. That has to get into shine down on the hard drive position, which is kind of a little bit too... Okay, how are we doing this again? Wait, no, this plugs into here. Stuff has come loose on me, bud. It's covered in tape slime. Everything is covered in tape slime. That is wonderful. I thought Hokie tape just dried up. I need to find a tape that doesn't slime. That connection's good enough. I don't think I need to tape it. This thing's gonna need to get fiddled with unless I implement more tape. Sure, why not? Let's go all in. Now we can get this back into place. Or can we? Why is that so tight? I think it's being squeezed by the bay above it. No, it's hitting rock bottom here. What the frick? It came out of there. It's got to go back in. There it goes. All right, we're done with the pump. We'll get that all connected back in. All right. Now this thing, I think other than the side panels, we're all back together now, buds. Ugh, I can't touch anything without goo. My God. I'm gonna have to go all through the back of this computer and like de-goo it at some point. This is just ridiculous. Whew. All right, well, we've been at it for 3 hours now. 3 hours, 10 minutes. It went mostly smoothly except for my indecision for piping and, well, that one incident. But hey, I didn't spill a bunch of water this time. That said, I think that's it for this video. We are going to let it simmer for a few days. And maybe next week, I will shoot the follow-up to this where we actually do some thermal tests on it. See what it can do. Yeah. It's gonna take a little while, I think, to get all those bubbles worked out. Might even have to top off the old resi a little bit too in that time. I don't know, we'll see. But I think that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, stay tuned. I have some ideas for some other water cooling projects on my mind that I kind of feel like doing up because I got a lot of spare parts and I got a lot of computers, and sometimes, you know, you just get bored, take apart, rebuild a computer with different configuration for fun at some point, just to see what you can get it to do. And hey, sudden ending, yeah!